How's everybody doing? Happy say Saturday. Happy Saturday. Whew, man, we made it, y'all. One more week. Um, it's been a long week. Nothing in particular, but we have made it. It is the weekend, baby. Um, having a little sugar this morning. Some Starburst. So, breakfast of champions today. Starburst and monsters. After this, I think I'm going to be working on my component library. I want to look into I need to look into theming. That's like step one of component library. I'm doing a dark theme first, but I want to obviously be able to have it overwrite the themes so that you can. So there's gonna be a dark theme, there's gonna be a light theme, and then there's gonna be, you customize whatever the hell you want theme. And so that to me is what I need to figure out is how to do that. But hey, sweetheart, how you doing, crazy eyes? How you doing, crazy? Crazy bee? You so crazy? You crazy cray. Okay. I've had enough of your crazy asses this morning, to be honest with you, Pops. Well, hello, Igbal Gill. How are you? Oh man. I start drinking energy drinks again, so I'm tired all the time. So I start drinking energy drinks again, and I get in this endless cycle. Very much so like the game stonk stuff. Josh Agan says, Dylan, I hate school projects, but I enjoy my own work. What companies would be interested in seeing my school projects as well as my own projects? I mean, if you have a really cool school project, like a thesis type of thing, or like something that's something that is 1 second, unique. Show it. Most of the time, it's going to be your personal projects that I think players don't care about. Oh, thank you for the paw, the muddy paw. No digging, Gator. No digging. But so why is it that I think most people are going to care about your personal projects or class projects? It's because when you do a personal project, it is personal. It is a solo event most of the time. It is something that you took from nothing to something. When you do a class project, you're doing it with other people. There's been classes that have done it before. It's probably not all that original. It doesn't carry as much weight. The reason we get paid the big bucks, as the kids would say, is because we can take the abstract and make it concrete. And that's all about being able to think outside the box and be able to break problems down on your own. How do I plan my life? Learning, working YouTube. YouTube's not really a part of my life. It's more of a hobby. Honestly, my YouTube channel is barely growing right now. It's like 200 subscribers a month. It's kind of dead. But I still enjoy doing it. And I'm building a lot of courses and stuff like that for Scrimba. Build up those royalty checks. But basically I understand my priorities. So what are my priorities? My priorities are is my priority is dating, finding a mate. um it's so funny. Reproduction, mates. No, but no, truly, I think about what my goals are, right? What are my priorities? And obviously there's the very practical stuff is I have to work. Working allows me to pay this house off. Working allows me to plan for my future, have a good retirement, take care of myself, my future family. So obviously I have to work. Okay. Well, outside of work, what's my say? I won't say next priority, but same level of importance. Dating, sharing my life with somebody, growing with somebody. So I have a girlfriend right now. And the only thing that's really transitioned, it's only been like a week since we're like, you're my girlfriend, you're my boyfriend. But the only thing that's transitioned between that is just making the time and the effort and the energy for that person in your life. And that takes some juggling. It's not easy. I have a lot of like crap I like to do that's all software related. None of it directly will help me go and find a love of my life. But so juggle it around, right? Like so working on doing my AMA on a Friday night, doing it Saturday morning. When opportunities come to either work on a side project or do something with her, I do something with her. And thinking about planning your life is oftentimes you're not the only one in it. So making sure everyone's on the same page is crucial as well. And if there's a time where I have to say, you know what, I can't do X, Y, and Z because I have this other commitment, then hopefully everyone's on the same page and can understand that. Now, as far as learning, a lot of what I like to do is build projects. I think I'm seeing the chat, I assure you. I think one thing that a lot of you guys don't quite yet understand, and that's okay, is that the way you learn and what you learn changes as your career progresses. And so I don't really go and learn something new unless it serves a purpose. And so I like to build things because that's what I like to do. Constant learning and no application gets you nowhere. And it's important to understand that. So go build things. And that's what I like to do. How to start freelancing? God, I couldn't even really tell you. I've never been super successful with freelancing. Nowadays, opportunities like that come to me, and they're much better than the freelancing I would have got. The freelancing I got was off Craigslist, and it wasn't the best. It was like $20 an hour and super stressful. Good morning, Michael. Code Poppy. After getting a nano degree front end from Udacity and building a couple of projects, how can I get a remote full-time job? Thank you. Well, first thing I'd probably push back on is that you need to go get a remote full-time job. Why don't you just get a job? Be a little. So here's what I would say, because you're gonna lose a lot of value. You're gonna lose a lot of value not actually going into work and being able to learn from people. And the example I give is like if you're a junior engineer and you work with me, right? I'm a senior software engineer, or a front end engineer. You would be able to sit right next to me, pick my brain. Now, imagine externally, you go and pick my brain. You want me to do a code review? Well, I'm charging you $150, $250 an hour, or you could use me as a free resource in person, right? Same thing with your future colleagues. Get in there, make those networking connections, learn. get better, and then a couple of years later go remote. How important is leak code if you're not getting a FANG job? I mean, pretty much every job I've had, minus my first one, had me do some sort of algorithm problem, but nothing like leak code levels, like reverse a string, fizzbuzz, those types of low level can I problem solve. So I'd say it's very important, but you know, it's sort of dependent upon where you want to go. I really didn't start studying data structures and algorithms in depth until I started preparing for my Amazon interview. Hey, Ishida. Gator. Gator. Look how cute these fucking dogs are, man. They're just over here on the little beanbag thing. Ready to protect the. You're ready to die over this UPS man if he runs up on us, huh, baby boy? Huh. Okay, he's like, I take no shit, daddy. He's all, I'll fuck that FedEx dude up. Not really, it's just like barking. Did I jump on the GameStop hype? No, I actually sold out of all my positions. So, not financial advice. Again, this is just what I did. I, for a while, have been thinking that the stock market's been bloated. We've been having all-time highs for like 6 months in a row. So I sold out of my position. I sold quite literally every single ETF, every single stock I had about 2 days ago. Cashed it out, and it's took my gains. I had about 25% gains. I was down like 5% for the day, but I still had about 25% gains in the last year. Cash it out, and I'm throwing it at my house. And I'll slowly dollar cost average back into the market. But I'd been waiting for some sort of event to happen in the back of my mind that like it's going to drop things, and that money was always there to pay off the house anyhow. So I decided to exit. But I am following it. I am thoroughly enjoying the memesters. Like every day I go on Wall Street Bets just to see the memes. I wish them the best. But yeah, I'm not getting involved in that. How do I main YouTube and other stuff? So YouTube's always been something that I don't worry about growing. I really want to hit 100K so that I can get my silver play button. But we're growing so slowly. That's probably the only regret I have about like not focusing on growth is I don't have a silver play button. I'd love one. It looked great on my wall one day maybe. But so you have to decide what your priorities are. As I just told you earlier, my priority with YouTube is to give back to the community, really. And I monetize it, and I don't think there's any shame in that. Sometimes people get weird, like you can't monetize something while trying to give back, like so. And most of those people, what they're really doing at the end of the day is creating like enemies of people who want to do good stuff. My brother's like this, where he thinks that I've told him like, hey, I do part of the reason I do this stuff is because I want to give back in my own way. It's like, don't you make money doing that? It's like, yeah. It's like, oh, it's about the money. It's like, no, but if I can help people and make money, like I have no problem with that. Like I sell my courses for $10. $10. And they have tens of hours of content each. It's like I genuinely think, for the record, for any of you guys interviewing, my 100 front-end interview challenge and my 100 algorithm challenge are two of the best things to help prepare you for your interviews. That's $20 that could potentially change your life. I'm not saying that to like try and sell you these courses. Like these courses don't make me a ton of money, but truly I do. Like these are the things I studied, I learned, I spent, tens of hundreds of hours doing that have allowed me to interview very well and, get 6-figure jobs and now work at Amazon and like all that sort of stuff. So it's like not saying that any of that's guaranteed or anything, but like these are things that I go and part of it is to make money, part of it is to give back, part of like these live streams, I'm making money on these live streams. I think in ad revenue for this live stream, I'll make a single dollar for an hour of my time. So, but yeah, when it comes to maintaining YouTube and stuff like that, just understand what it is you want to get out of it. YouTube for me is about what I want to do. It's not about what people want to see. And that's been very helpful because it's been a medium for me to grow myself as a developer, then share it, not put content out and hope that it grows me. And the sort of trade off with that is that my YouTube channel grows much slower or doesn't get as many views because it's not, clickbait. It's not what people want. It's about what I'm doing. And that's been why my career has progressed very rapidly. That's why I've been able to do very well. And then outside of that, understanding what my goals are with other projects. My goals with other projects is to build up passive income streams. So that's why I'm doing a lot of Scrimba courses because they have a great royalty agreement that I like. And I believe in their platform very strongly. That's why I build courses to not only give back, but make money, all that sort of stuff. So you should really have to have an understanding of what it is you want to get. And don't sort of try and force yourself to put out into the world what other people want because it's not going to work for you long term. Did I jump on the game stuff? No. I'll be paying off like 25% of my house with my investment account, I think. I don't have on-site. I have 4 interviews. One is called technical, one is called algorithms to SQL. What would the technical most likely be? It could just be questions about it could be questions about like libraries, frameworks, programming languages, sort of like a phone interview. The 100 front end interview question challenge is designed for that. Now, it also could be a sort of what if scenario. Given that you were in this circumstance with the business, how would you react? It could be that, but probably not. It's probably more about programming languages. I would love your thoughts on generalists or specialists. Been trying to decide between Android dev and web dev. Well, I would say both are specialists in that aspect. Web dev and mobile dev, right? Well, I could tell you that statistically speaking, there's probably going to be more opportunities for you in web dev. That doesn't mean there's not a ton of opportunities as Android dev. I'm just saying, based off stats, you'll probably have an easier time with web dev. Now, if you want to do mobile development, personally, whoa, lay down, baby girl. Lay down. That do mobile development. Whatever happened to video dev docs, dude? I was just thinking about that the other day. Because I was on my portfolio site and I was like, God, I need to finish that project. It's already built. I just have hundreds of hours of content I have to do. You know what I'll probably do instead of the component library today? I have this thing I was building with Eric called Clean JavaScript. It's all about JavaScript best practices and standards. And I just need to put content in it. I think I'm going to do that. I think that's going to be what I want to get done in the month of February. I want to launch Clean JavaScript. That's what I'll work on. Will this get you over the 20% remaining PMI? Will you refinance, get a lower payment? No, I'm already at the 20%. I am at, what would it be? Let's see. Yeah, I'm at 25%. I'll have half my house paid off, close to it by the end of next week. Uh, yeah, my goal is to pay my house off this year. So with me planning to go to Seattle, I want to leave here with a paid off home. And so Zach's apps, I don't want to talk too much about my work at Amazon. Is it best to learn Python and JavaScript the other way around? It doesn't matter. I mean, Python and JavaScript are both great. Would you advise me getting another job before I'm ready for a front end role that allows me to move out of the house? Would you advise me getting another job before I'm ready for a front end role? I mean, I don't know what you're asking, to be honest. It's are you working as a dev and asking should you go and get another dev job before you move out of the house? I think it's very beneficial to be out of the house. Now, if you're saving for a goal, people who like live at home and are just dicking around, um, that I don't understand. I really don't. The people who are just like, I'm just gonna YOLO all my money while living at home and not take advantage of it. If you can live at home for 2 years while you're getting your income up, saving money, truly saving money, eliminating all your debt, saving for a home loan, and then jumping jobs 2, 3, 4 times till you get to that 6-figure plus range. That's what I'd recommend doing. Honestly, until if I had the option, of for the last minus this last year, but 3 years before that, the whole time I've been in Florida, staying with somebody, saving my money, and just like renting a room, I probably would have, and I'd have this house paid off by now. But it's owning a house and utilities and not living at home and all that, it gets expensive. But if you have that option, take advantage of it. Not for too long, like 2, 3 years, but 2, 3 years and no rent, utilities, and like low cost on food. You should be able to eliminate all your debt. You should be able to build your income up. You should be able to save for a house. Set yourself up financially. All right, have a good one, Sharp. When you do your interviews, how do you get around not having predefined data structures like priority queues? I'm not sure what you're asking, Timothy, to be honest. Really try and make the view from India. That would help you out. I don't know what you mean by that. Yeah. Um, so you gotta respond back. I literally was just Hi Dylan, I've been on the free code camp course for about 3 months. I'm currently in the front end library section learning React. Any general advice or tips? Yeah, when you finish a section, go and build something of your own. What do you say when asked how much you'd like to be paid in an interview? It depends on what I'm currently making. Um, I would tell you that I don't jump jobs for anything less than 10 to 20%. Right now, um, I would say don't jump a job for less than 20% unless you really have to. I left a job for like a 10% raise once. And that was really because I was at my wit's end with it. But generally, I'd say hold out for a 20% raise unless there's other things to consider. And factor in, when I say 20% raise, I factor in benefits as well. You know, my buddy just got like a $15,000 raise, and he didn't even look at the benefits, and the benefits were about $10,000 more between a better 401k, how much he would be saving. Went from paying part of his insurance to no of his insurance, and then getting some additional free insurance that, like, long term disability, all those things. Like, it's total compensation, more PTO. You know, did you feel like you had leverage to negotiate salary for your first job, or did you just took what you could get? I mean, I definitely didn't feel like I had leverage. When I negotiated for my first job, they asked me what I'd like to be paid, and I said, I know this is an entry level role, and based on what I've see I'd like an entry level salary for what's fair, right? And I looked at the market, and it was about 55 to 65,000. They offered me 62. I said perfect, and I took it, which is by far way more money than I've ever made at that time. Um, but that was my negotiation. I wasn't trying to rob the house, and I was just, hey, what do people get? What do people get paid for a junior level software engineer? Honestly, they could have offered me less. I probably would have taken it still. What's up, baby girl? So, yeah. But it definitely didn't feel like I had leverage, that's for sure. Would I be interested in something like that? Helping 1,000 people over 1 to 5 years versus boot camps costing 507,000. How much do you think you'd actually need to spend to become starting dev job? I don't know, man. I mean, so, like, I do mentoring on the side, and most people, let's say I charge you $300 a month, and we met 30 minutes a week just to provide direction, bounce things off, create a game plan once a month. Most people aren't willing to pay that, but they're willing to pay $5,000 to $20,000 for a coding boot camp for 3 months, and have a little bit more hand holding. So it's, what do people want? Is really what it comes down to. How many projects do I complete for a good junior level engineer job? The only project I really complete on my own is if you go to codingtutorials360.com. That is the only project. I think it's a little busted now, anyhow. Osserton? I mean, it never hurts to apply, guys, an interview. Would love to know your process in solving problems in code. How do you go about solving a really hard problem? Yeah, couple things. Actually, Leanne over at Scrimba asked me if I want to do a course on debugging for the Scrimba platform. I'd love to. It's just hard. You can't really do it with their platform because you need the inspector. Wouldn't really work too much. So first thing I do is I write a unit test for it. So why do I do that when it's failing? Well, I want to write a unit test for when it's passing. Thus, as I'm going through and I'm testing, assuming I can, right? Not all bugs can be tested. You should try though. So go and write a unit test for it. I run the test as I'm debugging. So on the off chance that I miss that I actually fixed it, I have my test suite running. Just boom, that shit's green. I mean, I fixed it. Now you understand why you fixed it. That's fine, but it's already a test. Next thing is I start assuming I know where the bug is also. But if you know what's breaking, then you know what it should be doing. Then you can figure out the bug. So, but yeah, just like anything else, research what part of the code it's most likely to be in. Start commenting things out, some debuggers, some logs, all the stuff that you guys do or should be doing. Thank you for the mentoring and tutoring. You're welcome, man. But yeah. That's what I'm going to launch. I'm going to launch clean JavaScript. And if there's a component library aspect. What are you doing, crazy girl? Maybe I'll do it. My advice on freelancing. Oh man, I wouldn't advise it until you really, really, really have your shit together. There are many spatial spaces to be aware of. Any good books on NLP? I have no idea. How do I learn new language? Honestly, it's so, when it comes to a language or framework or library, it's not that like it's ever nowadays you can start telling me about it. I'll understand the fundamentals of it, but I'll watch a video tutorial and then I'll just get like, oh, hey, this is what it does. It's never the same though as actually just coding in it. So you just got code in it eventually, but usually I do like a little warm up, 4-hour tutorial, whatnot, just to be exposed to what's actually out there. And then once I have that, go on from there. So is it advisable to use Figma for a layout when making a website design? What's Figma again? Wrote this. Oh yeah, I mean this stuff is fine. I just use like a lower resolution mocks personally, like Balsamic, where it's just about getting the idea across. But I think this is cool. I got no problem with that. Also, if you can design something, you can break it down in smallest things. and that's part of being a developer as well. What's your least favorite part of the development process? The cutting of the corners. I am at the core myself a software purist. Um, I believe it. We're craftsmen, and I believe a lot of organizations, and I think for good reasons. I'm not saying these are bad reasons, even. Um, have deadlines, have financial commitments that you go and are forced into creating technical debt, and and organizations being okay with it. I'm almost never okay with it, um, and that to me it hurts. So I'm very much so a purist. And it it's definitely the thing I like the least. And meetings. So many meetings. I think I probably have on average a third of my week in meetings in this normal week. In a meeting heavy week, it's almost, it's maybe a little bit more. Um I think it's got worse. I think it got worse since the pandemic too. Companies like trying to overcompensate by having more meetings. Fresh graduate here. What advice do you get up and running in the software development industry? Well, my advice would be if you're currently in school, this is probably a question you should ask then. Not just graduate. You should usually have a job lined up towards the end of your senior year. But yeah, I at this point build projects, apply for jobs. Go, 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 go. You need a job ASAP. Get that experience. How many months did I self-study before getting your first job? About 8. Do you have any affiliated links, books, and courses? Yeah, in my description below. Any tips on open source contribution? Build your own. Let people contribute to your own project. It'll be much more impressive. How do you figure out what to cut corners on? Also, now realizing I'm also the purist. I mean, it depends on what the ask is, right? Hard coding something versus making it verbose enough to be reused. There was one point in my career where I almost quit because for 3 months they had me do static templates instead of just building a single page application because they wanted this is a throwaway. We're only doing it for 2 weeks. And then like 3 months later, this is a throwaway. We're only doing it. And they kept saying this and saying this. And finally they gave it to somebody else and they did it for 9 months. But it's just one of those things. It depends though. Like skip the testing. Hard code it. Make a giant monolithic single repo that doesn't have the dependencies broken out, and now instead of have all these components that are used between them, instead of creating an npm package that you sort between them. So like some of this sort of architecture stuff that slips through the cracks, like this stuff happens. It's all part of software, and it's all driven by developers not standing up for the code and saying no, or doing what they can to support the business. Because it's not like sometimes when I say this, people think like developers and business go to battle, and that's a bad look to look at it. It's a negotiation, right? At the end, you're trying to handshake about how we can keep both of us happy, and like in a perfect world, the business is happy. We deliver everything they want. The developers are happy because we don't introduce any technical debt and we are able to build things the way they should be built. But that's not the world we live in, right? Go fast, break things. So and there's nothing really necessarily wrong with that. But that is the world of software engineering, and I don't want to sit here and tell you that it's anything different. Um, so the most effective place for me to network with other devs was at the just making friends at work, but LinkedIn also. Hey man, appreciate helpful confident Shrive. What do you consider important in an employment contract? Honestly, I've never had any issues. I know some people get really neurotic about like, oh, if I build something, they're gonna own the rights to it and they're gonna read every. I've never built anything that's ever anyone's gonna bother trying to take away. But some people read all that. Do you prefer to be a freelancer? Never, ever, 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 ever would I want to be a freelancer software engineer. Statistically speaking, you're gonna make significantly less money, have much higher stress. You're gonna deal with bottom of the barrel people, and it's gonna suck. Would I like to have passive income? Yeah. I'd rather build. Your time's better off spending building mini projects, launching them, and hoping they generate revenue online than to do freelance. Trying to get my head around apps versus web apps versus websites. Okay, pretty simple. This is how I explain it to my mother. She doesn't really fully understand. So websites, a web app is a website, similar to how a children's book is a novel. Okay, following so far. So if on one side we have a children's book, on the other side we have a college textbook. One is more simplistic than the other. One has much more content, much more sophisticated content. One is very low level. Very similar with web pages and websites, or web apps and websites. Websites typically are going to be more static in nature. They're going to be things like maybe a restaurant page where all that's really going to be there typically. Restaurant location not going to change. Maybe the phone number, maybe the menu. A web app is going to be much more verbose, going to have much more dynamic content, going to have many more inputs and outputs. The example I give to my mother is TurboTax, right? You go, you put in your tax information. It then says, hey, did you need this? Oh, you selected this box. This pops up. Bam, bam. We have calculated your return here. Do you want to submit this form? How about this? Do you have any, home interest to write off? It's much more complex in nature, many more moving parts, might include authentication. So it really comes down to complexity. What are some of the biggest challenges you faced lately? One thing I was struggling with for a couple weeks at my new job was reaching out to the engineers on my team. And that's something that was challenging. Not because they weren't friendly or anything like that. It's just a little bit of an ego thing, I think, and a little bit of just not quite yet feeling comfortable. So it's one of the harder things about working a job fully remote from the get go, especially in like technologies that you're still getting comfortable with, and like so just reaching out that. Besides that, man, there was nothing really. I mean, it's and that I wouldn't even say that was a big challenge. It was just a challenge of like feeling comfortable enough with some people I just met to be like, yo, I feel stupid. How do I do this again and again? There's 2 or 3 guys that I've leaned on quite a bit and I've changed my schedule. Like I've made changes to where now I'm working like a 10 to 7 shift. And I tried to do even 11 to 8 because most people are in the West Coast, right, in Seattle, and it's a 3-hour difference. But that was too late for me. So now I'm 10 to 7, so I have more overlap and doing that. But besides that, I mean, nothing really. I mean, sounds like it's going to change in the future, though. We're moving into some stuff that's going to be pretty challenging. Some bleeding edge shit. So I'll be plenty challenged. Yeah, Code Poppy gets it. Was Amazon all you thought it would be? I, you know, Amazon's been great. I don't know. It's interesting talking. So I only have the experience of Amazon remotely. A lot of my colleagues are very good friends with each other, from what I've realized. And they're all like they go on like snowboarding trips and things like that, and so like they have all this experience of being in the office together, and that's something that I'm kind of jealous of. Not necessarily going to the office, but like there's a job when I worked at It Works Global where I made a ton of friends, and like we were sort of like the dev team, and like it has that feeling to it, and so it's very nice in that aspect. And so as much as I am not big on going into the office, I somewhat am looking forward to it, just because I want to. It's been a while since I've felt like that. If that makes any sense. But yeah, I'm pretty happy. Is competitive programming necessary? No. How old when I started programming? 25, around there. Maybe 26. I'm a boomer, dog. We're boomers. Actually, was the average age of software engineer? 32. Medium says the average age of software engineering is 32. I'm 33, baby. I'm a boomer. I'm a boomer right here. Booming away. We're booming it. um I gotta stay clean shaven so that like my girlfriend's 8 years younger than me, so I gotta look a little younger. um I don't look too much younger. I look probably a couple years younger than when I have facial hair. So like I've been keeping it a little cleaner shaven than I normally would. Especially because I met the girlfriend's mom this weekend, and you don't want to be the old guy dating the daughter, right? You gotta. um, I can tell you about digital ad spend. I know a lot of people are big on digital ad spend for their projects. I've never launched anything. We all want mid-20-year-old girls. That's not necessarily true. I have no issue dating women my own age. It's just most women my age have kids and like ex-husbands and want to have kids tomorrow. And like I want to have kids the next couple of years, but like not like, hey, I gotta do it immediately because like we're still seeing if we're compatible. Um, so it's yeah, no, I don't know. So I would generally recommend dating women no more than 5 years in either direction of yourself. Um, and that's not, and I say that as someone is dating someone younger than that, but being compatible and whatnot. I'm just giving you general advice. Um, because it's going to be hard to have the same life goals. Um, it's also going to be hard to relate on certain things. Um, so, but that might be my general advice. My buddy Ricky dates women 5, 10 years older, but he already has a kid, and he's you know, not looking to do it again. Clock's ticking. It's not that I'm not in a rush. I'm just not going to rush into it. There's a difference. Trust me, I know I'm getting old, dude. I am not kidding. I was laying in bed with my girlfriend, we were like reading books, and I just like turned my hip hop. Like just like we're getting old over here, dude. We are getting old. Like hips are just popping, and yeah, I work out like 4 times a week. Right? I'm not doing like crazy intense cardio or anything, but I'm working out. And like I'm eating okay. I know I've like ate candy and monsters this morning, but generally speaking, I'm eating okay. But we are getting old, dude. It hurts. How do I set myself apart as a 36-year-old self-taught coder? Projects. Same way you set yourself as a 26-year-old coder. Projects, 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 projects. You are a software engineer that simply doesn't have work experience. So do you plan on getting married and settling down? I feel the same. I don't want drama. I want a solid return on investment. If you spend a lot of cash in the hope of eventually married, that is a very strange way. I've never. So I've thought of like, oh, hey, it'd be nice to like have someone to build a life with. It'd be nice if someone could contribute financially to our goals and dreams. It'd be nice to have a family, someone. I never once thought I need to invest my time and money into a person so I can have a nice return on investment. So, yeah, I mean, it's not a bad way of looking at it. It's just a very mathematical way of looking at something that perhaps shouldn't be as mathematical. But yes, I am looking to get married and have kids eventually. 2-year plan, man. That's it. If you can put up with me for 2 years, you got it. You got the keys to the kingdom. Yeah. Do I think all of us programmers are handsome? Listen, I'm pretty on the inside, dog. All right, and that's all that matters. You look healthier. Just imagine what a good woman in your life will do for you. But yeah, I got my hair cut. It's shorter than usual, so I don't look as much as a degenerate. I didn't really like it. I didn't really like it at first because she cut off way more than I normally want. But Cat seems to like it, so that's all that matters. I did learn AngularJS before I got my first dev job. Do your parents pressure you in meeting someone, getting married, having kids? No, actually not. My father really didn't like my ex-girlfriend, April. So he was really not pressuring me at all to get married and have kids. And then my mother's always been this like I have like 7 aunts and uncles, and they all have kids, and or my cousins, right? They all have my cousins, and then they all have kids. So like my mom has plenty of that. My mom doesn't need me to have kids for her. I got dogs, and I can barely take care of that. There's no pressure. I'm not having kids for anybody. Do you ever get angry over code? All the time? It's something I struggle with. And I have to meditate. I have to understand. I have to educate. I have to build tutorials. I do. But yes. Yes, yes, yes. Yes. It's no, they what's funny is my dad. So my girlfriend's probably the most normal girl I've dated in a long time. What do I mean by that? Like everyone has baggage, right? But like as far as like on paper of what I think my dad thinks is a good match for me, she meets it pretty closely. And so, and the idea that I would ever get back with my ex-girlfriend is just something that he's horrified of. I remember like 1 week after getting my ass dumped, and I just like, you know, it's like a week or two. I remember talking to my dad about it, and he's like, I was like, I was like saying something like, we never things things could work out, and we work things out, and my dad goes like, literally like knife in the wound still at this point in the time of the healing process, goes, I'm gonna support you in whatever you do, but before you make that decision, just please promise me you'll give me a call. We could talk about it. I was like, sure, Dad. But yeah, I wouldn't say it's any pressure. He's just checking up on it. He hasn't like the first couple weeks. I was like, yeah, going out of town, blah blah blah. And it's like normally I call my dad about once a week. My dad started calling me like 2 times a week, which is out of character to just like shoot the shit, and then it always end like, how are things with so and so. Um, so yeah. What are some of your hobbies? All my hobbies really revolve around coding projects. I like it that way though. I do board games with my buddies though on occasion. Some video games here or there. Nothing too crazy. Um, what was so bad about April that I didn't like? I don't want to dump on her because I generally, I still care for her. And like want her to do well, but I think I think the general thing was that she had some issues that she didn't work through and then blamed me for it a lot. Um, and so she just never got her life together. And that was kind of a constant issue between me and her. And my father, I think, thought I was too patient. Like I waited years for her to get her life together in certain aspects, and it just never really happened. Um, and yeah, I mean, in like the 3.5 years that we lived together in Florida, she worked maybe less than a year, and half that was part time. So like, it just nothing really ever happened with it, and just I don't know. But that I think always rubbed. I mean, dude, my dad would call. Yeah, I talk with my dad, um, and he would literally be calling me, and it's just like if you've ever had to date somebody who like your friends and family don't approve of, but they're gonna be nice about it in the way that they'd be like, they have a conversation and then they like check up on them, and they'd be like, so how's how's she doing with her job search? Like that. And then you're like, this again. It's like, dude, I was having those calls like once a week, once every 2 weeks for like 2.5 years. Uh, so there's that. And, I think he just felt that she was weighing me down. And there may have been some truth to that. I don't think it was intentional. I think it was stressing. Anytime you're in a relationship that doesn't, that, I mean, if you've ever been in and this happened with my last one, where, and that's in fairness, I was sort of having mental health issues when we dated, so it's not all her fault by any means, but um, there's some truth that if you're in a bad relationship, it weighs you down, it stresses you out. Um, there's no coincidence that when I got out of unhealthy relationships, I lost 30 pounds and I, you know, doubled my income and ended up at a FANG company. Those aren't coincidences, guys. Let's just make that let's just make that very clear. I'm not saying that's anyone's fault. I'm just saying the circumstances change. Your stress level's low. You're not, you don't have this backpack of guilt or regret or anything else, or you're carrying anyone to the finish line with you. And you have that mental energy to do what you want to do. So I think that's where my father fell into. Timothy with $5 donation says this stream deserves more than $1. I appreciate that. It deserves $6 as of now. Thank you though, man. I appreciate it. But yeah, so but here I'll leave you with this nugget. I want personally for is that a massage chair? Yes. I want personally for my my future wife's family, for all that sort of stuff, to like me. I want to have those connections. I want my family to like them. But sometimes you can't negotiate with crazy. There are going to be families that aren't going to like you. There's going to be people in your family that's not going to like your partner. That's okay. I said I'd like it. I don't need it. I'd want it. But if you meet the right person, that's all that matters. And so, you know, putting the time, effort, and energy to that person, and making sure that they care and love you for you. There's a healthy balance between that and then just ignoring the red flags. But with that being said, guys, naturally we talked about my dating life as we got to the end of the live stream. I hope you found this weekend mentoring helpful. I think I'm gonna work on cleanjavascript.com today and go from there. So with all that being said, guys, I appreciate you. Good luck, and thank you again, Timothy, for the donation. Like, subscribe, share, all that good stuff. My links to the courses are in the description below if you want to help me out. Bye, guys.